Hello, Namaste, Sasrikal, good evening. Welcome to the S.S.Chandhok talk show. Once again, we have gathered here to speak on a very special topic, that is principles of language learning. We have very eminent guests today over here. First of all, we have Kajal Sachida ma'am. She is the Executive Director of Gayatri School and Junior College, Pune. She is an enthusiastic and energetic leader in empowering and energizing her mind in innovative and collaborating learning practices. Kajal ma'am is known for creating a cozy environment for her students and teachers so the school becomes a second home for all. She began her career by teaching English and social studies in a school for the deprived children. Having worked with the plethora of well-known schools such as Vibgyor High, RIMS International, NIBM, Euro School, Trinity International, Global Talent International School. Currently, she is with Gayatri Group of Schools, Pune as Executive Director. She is in the profession from the last 25 years and has climbed the ladder of success for being a co-teacher, to principal, to director, to founder of her edu venture, that is EduDrone We Connect. Directed to being an eminent speaker and having voiced many leadership conferences, she often practices in the educational and panel discussions. Ma'am has created the e-platform for educators by the name of EduDrone We Connect. She is an enthusiastic and energetic leader in empowering and engaging young minds in innovative and collaborative learning practices. She has worked with SSC, CBSC, ICSC, and IGCSC schools, and they are Vipure, RIMS International, Euro School, Trinity International School, Kothari International School, Global Talent International School. She is in the profession from last 25 years, as we already discussed, and she has received many awards on national and international levels, as well as she is associated with many associations on national and international level. We welcome you, ma'am, and we are grateful. Apart from having problem of network and other problems, you have joined us. We welcome you, ma'am. We in a short, we'll like to know about your EduDrone We Connect. Kajal, ma'am.
Thank you, sir, for having me here. Good evening, one and all.
Good evening, ma'am.
Ma'am, please tell us about EduDrone in very short.
See, EduDrone is a platform for educators. We have more than 1,000 educators who have registered with us. And on and off, we have online and offline summits, leadership summits, trainings for teachers. We have career guidance for students. We are into book publishing also. We have published 2 books. Our 3rd book is in the making. We are leaders. And we have 35 co-authors along with us who have shared their leadership journey. So that book will be out in the month of last week of February, hopefully. And I look forward to launch on this talk show as well.
Thank you
So
so
thank
much,
you
ma'am.
so much for having me, sir. And please bear with this network connectivity issue, but still I feel connected. I can see you all. So thank you so much for being patient. As I can see, educators are the ones, they cannot stop working, right?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, and welcome. Next, we have Alka Singh, ma'am. She is the principal of Bluebells School, Gurugram. Ma'am believes in Kautilya's saying, don't be afraid of failure and don't abandon it. People who work with integrity are the happiest. Ma'am has a deep-rooted commitment to education. Serving as the esteemed school principal of Bluebell School, Gurugram, she is the helm of the institution, who is the overall in charge of academic excellence and complete student development. She has a vast experience of 31 years in the field of education and has served in a few of the most prestigious educational institutions of the country. She is a gold medalist in economics, PG economics. She has a clear vision and attitude which creates an open environment where parents, teachers, and students feel a part of the school community. She has always guided her team of brilliant teachers to provide the students with cutting-edge technology and a strong foundation in life skills. Alka ma'am is an effective and efficient, excellent leader, listener, paired with problem-solving skills at the core, a very true visionary. She is well versed with the fact of education in ever-evolving. We welcome you, Alka ma'am, and thank you so much for giving your precious time. Please let us know about your education journey. How did you came by choice or you came by chance? and how did you develop from a teacher, and how did it came into your mind to become an administrator? Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir. First of all, it's my honor to be on this panel discussion with all the eminent educationists over here. And so when we say by choice, yes, I think this is by choice. Otherwise, I had cleared my engineering entrance exam too. But somewhere, this was always a thought, that generally I shared my father's journey, saying that he was in army. So therefore, I could see he would talk about wars. From there, he would always say that, the wars are always fought in the mind and we can stop it from there. So the power of the mind was something which always influenced me. And I felt that this is one field where actually we can work on the minds of people. So for me, this is a passion, and this is the moment I get into the school, I think this is my spiritual space, and this empowers me. And the kind of connect, I think when I look at a child and the sparkle in the eye, and my day is made, and I think I'm very, very contented and very, very, I feel very fulfilled that way. Thank you so much.
Welcome, ma'am. Thank you so much. And we are great to have a leaders like you on our show. Next, we have Santosh Vyas, ma'am. She is the principal of Sadhu Vaswani International School for Girls, Delhi. Ma'am is MA in Political Science, MPhil from University of Delhi, and B.Ed from Central Institute of Education, University of Delhi. Her educational and administrative experience helps her to understand the dynamism of the ever-changing educational requirements in the world. She holds 34 years of diverse works experience as a PGT teacher, HOD, academic supervisor, vice principal, and principal at Sadhu Vaswani International School for Girls, New Delhi. She has also mentored B.Ed students of Central Institute of Education, University Delhi as a lecturer. She had been appointed by CBSE COE East as a Bhubaneswar, CBSE Ajmer, and CBSE Dehradun as a resource person in political science, social science, life skills, value education, gender sensitivity, happiness curriculum, stress management, mindfulness, multiple intelligences, Bloom's taxonomy, etc. Conducted sessions on various variety of topics for teachers from India and abroad. Appointed by CBSE as resource person for pedagogical leadership training workshop, it's already going on. Appointed by CBSE Center of Excellence as resource person for capacity building program, that is training of teachers in social science and political science. Conducted 2 days workshop on competence building in social science for teachers of Indian High School, Dubai. Organized inter-school model United Nations conferences in collaboration with United Nations Information Center for India and Bhutan as HOD Social Science. Organized inter-school youth parliament session organized by Ministry of Parliament Affairs, selected by Australian Education International and Asian Education Foundation in collaboration with University of Melbourne for an exchange program of teachers in Australia. Ma'am has a very big office where 2 rooms are over there, where she has put up our awards and the certificates hand. These are the few at the back maybe. And she's also associated with many associations and NGOs also, because 34 years is a very, very big time in education. We welcome you, ma'am, and thank you so much for sparing your time and giving your precious knowledge to us. Ma'am, please let us know, when did you came into administration and how many schools you have changed till then, as your experience of the schools.
Yeah, actually, I haven't changed many schools. I think when I started my journey with the school, and that was the time I wanted to pursue with my studies also. And after post school, because those were the times when the schools were not so demanding, I'm talking about 35 years back, no stay backs, nothing. So after school, and there was always desire to do something more. So I thought I'll continue with my MPhil. I did then at that time, and because the evening classes were there in Delhi University. And I finished my MPhil, and then I applied in the same institute, Central Institute of Education, University of Delhi. So I got that beautiful job of teaching the B.Ed students. And after that, I was, because university, that vacancy, it takes time to fill up, 7, 8, 9 years long wait, God knows when. And I was looking for, from that point of view, then somewhere the school education that I was, so many changes are coming up. So I thought, why not school? So that was the time I directly came here in Sadhu Vaswani International School for Girls, as PGT. And when you say, after that, I did not go anywhere because there was no need to go anywhere.
Great.
Once I came here, I found the atmosphere so good. It is, it's like a, SYSG family we call, and it is a lot of learning took place. The management was so good. The colleagues were so good, cooperative atmosphere, beautiful infrastructure, cleanliness and hygiene, number one, like everything was just perfect the way I want. As God has placed me here and He has some plan for me, and beautiful philosophy of the school that I felt so just like my second home, and like ma'am said earlier, that spiritual place. So it's been a long journey, beautiful starting. When you say administration, yes, right from responsibilities of being a teacher for some years, 7, 8 to 10 years. Then I was academic supervisor. That means I was looking after all the academics and how to bring it up, and that is dealing with the teachers, upgrading. So all this is administrative experience. Right from there it started, managing teachers, their emotional development, social development, competency development, etc.
Well, that means from coming from B.Ed college, after teaching B.Ed college, you had been there since in this school only. As
Yes.
a PGT, then maybe coordinator, vice principal, and then principal.
Yes.
So, ma'am, in which year you were promoted as principal?
2019.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
So you have spent almost, half of your career over here in this school only. And
Yes.
whenever you are there for a very long time, two things are good. That first of all, the management is very good. And of course, the school becomes a part of life and a family also. That is for sure. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Then next we have Uni Krishnan K. Sir. She is the principal of Benchmark International School, Kerala. He joined the CBSE system in 1993. He served for 27 years in various schools as teacher, vice principal, and principal. He is the head examiner of CBSE in English since 2000. As a CBSE master trainer, conducted more than 200 workshops for principals and teachers at various places in and out of the country. Served as a president of Sahodaya Schools Complex, Malabar region for 5 years. Member of the CBSE Schools Inspection Committee, carried out more than 100 inspection assignments for affiliation, upgradation of schools. State coordinator of NTA, that is National Test Agency, under the Ministry of Education. State commissioner of the Hindustan Scouts and Guides Association, Kerala. Presently serving as the state president of the Confederation of Kerala Sahodaya Complex. Recipient of the President National Award to Teachers in 2012. Again, sir has received so many awards, around 6 to 7 pages are there for the awards he has received and certificates, as well as he is also associated with so many associations. We welcome Uni Krishnan, sir, that from the other part of the country you're over here, and on our request, you have come once again. And you are such a talented and dynamic person. Everybody will like to meet you again and again. You are everywhere. You are the CBSE master trainer. You are in Saudiyas also. You are an NTA also. So please motivate us with your educational journey as an administrator.
Thank you, Chandhok sir. It's been always a pleasure to join you for any kind of discussion. And I've joined the CBSE system in the year 1993, and before that I was an officer in the Indian Air Force. That part is not mentioned in my curriculum. So I speak in Hindi as fluently as any one of you.
Great.
Because I've been in the North India for a very long time. And then I've been an English teacher for the past more than 25 years, and I still continue to teach even after becoming a principal about 20 years back. I single-handedly handled my subject in grade 10 and 12, and I consider myself basically a teacher than an administrator. So I've been doing this duty for the past 25 years. And I'm so happy that you have invited me to join this discussion on language learning. Thank you very much.
We welcome you, sir, and we'll also like to know your ideas about the topic in the further part of the program. Thank you so much, sir. Welcome, sir. Next, we have Sukhpan Singh Sapar, sir. He's the principal of DPS Negai. With a long experience of more than 3 decades with one of the most prestigious educational institute of our country, DPS. He has worked in DPS Korba as a teacher of English. Again, we have an English teacher. He has worked in DPS Korba as a teacher of English from 1st July 1987 to 17th September 1998 and working as principal since 18th September 1998 at DPS Negai till date. That's a long, long time, 24 years, somewhere 24 years. He's principal over there in DPS Negai. Hats off to you, sir. More than it is 18 teachers who have worked under him and have become leaders in various schools like DPS, DAV, Aditya Birla Public School, and many you might not be knowing, sir. They might have changed 1 or 2 schools, and whatever they have learned in your school, they might have become the principal. You are a principal maker, sir. Have received the most coveted CBSE Best Teacher National Award in 2013 and 14 September 2014 from the hands of Honorable HRD Minister Shrimati Simriti Zubin Irani. He is the CBSE resource person for ELT project. Have inspected various schools on behalf of CBSE for granting extension affiliation. Keep getting invited by various schools to motivate and guide their students and staff. Conduct session on NEP 2020 for teachers and principals, both offline and online. Blogger as well as vlogger. His YouTube channel, Sukhwan Singh Thapar, is there, and I'll share the YouTube channel link also to all of you. Sir is a very talented person. I know his hidden talent. I don't know how much of you people of you know him. He is very active on social media. He's a he's a vlogger and blogger both, and he knows all the books of religion. It may be Guru Granth Sahib, it may be Bible, it may be Quran, it may be Gita, and so many phrases he has explained in Hindi as well as English. His recordings are there in the YouTube link channel that those people who know him, they love him. That I mean, sir, you are a great personality. Sir, please let us know about your blog and blogs also.
Thank you.
Rest we know.
Thank you, Sarpreet. So nice of you to have spoken in such high terms and praises. I think I don't deserve all those praises, but life is going on. Life has been sweet. I come from a very remote place of Odisha. You must have heard a place called Kalahandi. So there's a place just 15 kilometers away from Kalahandi, Navarangpur. I was born there and brought up again in a place called Jaipur, which is 40 kilometers from Kalahandi. And we, both my sister and I, we grew up there. And from there, we made our journey. And way back when I was, I had completed my 12th and had joined college. At that time, one of the branches of Delhi Public Schools had come up over there in Damanjodi. It's a school sponsored by Nalco Aluminium Project. And in 1983, when the school had opened, I, along with my friends, we used to regret that we didn't get the opportunity of studying in a Delhi public school, kind of an atmosphere. But then destiny led me into another Delhi public school branch in Korba, where I became teacher of English. And from there onwards, already Chandhok sir has spoken about my journey. And I strongly believe in one very famous quote of Stephen Garrett, that I shall pass this way, but once let me show and share love and kindness with my fellow human beings as much as I can. Let me not delay it or defer it, because I shall not pass this way again. So I always keep this in my mind and try to do my best.
That's great, sir. But how did you got motivated to start your blogs and blogs, sir? That was my question.
Okay. That happened mostly in the COVID lockdown period. Earlier, like we used to address the morning assemblies. And when this COVID lockdown came up, few of my students started saying, sir, we are not hearing you every day as we used to hear. And then my daughter, she motivated me. She herself is an influencer on the social media. So she told me that, why don't you, whatever you're saying, you make small recordings and share it on the YouTube. So again, I believed in the saying that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. So I took a small step and I started it. And now I have, I think, about 400 to 500 videos on YouTube and
Within,
Instagram.
and in such a small span of time, you have 400 to 500 videos at soft user, and you have so many subscribers. And your daughter is also influencer. I've seen she's also very famous and in. And
Thank you.
children do teach us, sir. Even I
Yes.
started this at the age of 50 this year only. So you learn from your kids also. They teach us a lot.
Yes, sir.
And every day we learn in school also from our kids also. Thank you so much,
And
sir.
I also take this opportunity of thanking you for bringing me closer to so many other learned people through this forum.
Thank you so much, sir. That's so kind of you. Welcome, sir. Next, we have Jaswinder Singh, sir. He's the founder and CEO of Wordsworth Lab. Sir is the ex-founder director of DesignMate, which is now Reliance Company Group, which he told me that the Reliance Company has bought it now. He is the MD and CEO of Wordsworth English Language Lab. He has a vast experience of 32 years in the field of education, successfully run 2 edtech companies. He has worked as a consultant to the government of Bahrain through UNESCO, advised the government on the use of ICT in education, passionate edutech leader. Wordsworth is used by over 1 million learners annually through more than 3,000 schools and colleges, launched the world's first Sanskrit language lab, also developed language lab for Hindi. He is based in Ahmedabad, Gujarat. We welcome you to Swinder, sir.
Thank you, sir.
As is one of the show which we had joined together. I had met you. I must tell you to everyone. In one of the show, we were there as a speaker, and when I had came to know about his lab, oh, it was quite interesting, and it was in my mind. Whenever I'll start my show, I'll be calling him that to tell us, let us know about what is the importance and what is the usefulness of these type of labs which have come into being because of the technology. We welcome you, Jaswinder, sir.
Thank
And
you.
we would like to know from you that what is Wordsworth Lab and how did it came in your mind to start this?
Thank you, Chandok, sir. Thank you for having me here. And good evening, all the fellow participants and senior principals. I'll answer your second question first. How did I come into this? Basically, a pure science electronics graduate. I was into IT training. I was an outsourced trainer for Microsoft, and I've trained a lot of Asian countries. But at that time, when Modi ji was the chief minister of Gujarat, we were given the work of training the entire government staff onto IT skills. And during his stint, he had these vibrant Gujarats where there were a lot of international companies who were invited to come and set their shops in India, in Gujarat. The major problem they faced was people with good communication skills. As you know, Gujarat बहुत पीछे था. So he had handpicked a company along with 2 other companies and said, go ahead and train 100,000 people in good language skills. Now we were very happy. 1 lakh बच्चों को, 1 lakh youth, if we were asked to train them in English, and that too the government said they will give us the infrastructure, they will give the students, they will pay for them. I mean, they'll subsidize them, everything. We were very happy. But then, as he always is, he came up with a caveat. He said, for every one center that you open up in urban Gujarat, you should have 2 centers in rural Gujarat. Again, we were happy, but that happiness didn't last long. We were not able to find good teachers in rural Gujarat. And nobody from urban part would want to go to rural part and be paid the same. So that's where we realized that we need to work on something that even a normal trainer who's not very good at delivery can deliver better, and that's where content comes in. Earlier I was with developing the math and science content, so I knew this industry pretty well, and that's where we started working on creating language delivery content. While doing that, and we did it for 16 years, so we've trained lakhs and lakhs of students on behalf of government of Gujarat. But during that, I realized language enhancement, language acquisition, language training is supposed to be during the schooling and not after you've completed school. You don't do that during the college time. You acquire languages pretty well when you are in the school. So that's where we came up with we're the first company to start with a language lab for schools, and that is how the whole thing has come in. And it's been a long journey. 15 years of Wordsworth being in the industry and catering to about 1 million students every year, and that is there. Then around before they came up with this current NEP 2020, we were advised from the higher ups that you need to do something on Sanskrit. And around 3 years back, we started working on Sanskrit. And we're happy to announce that we're the first company in the world to have a Sanskrit language lab, which helps students acquire good Sanskrit. Because I know I had a lot of punishment because I was not able to, do well in my Sanskrit, which was compulsory when we were studying. But we worked out a way. We worked with the Jain Munis, because Jain Munis in Gujarat, it is compulsory for all of them to know Sanskrit. So we actually found out how do you acquire this skill, and using that, the communicative Sanskrit, and that's how it is coming. And I understand 6th of August last year, CBSE came out with a circular that all schools need to have communicative Sanskrit. So I'm glad they're looking at it, because grammar-based Sanskrit is again a very painful thing to go through. But this is what the story is. So, and about the
Tell us
second
about
part.
your labs. Yeah, about your
Yeah,
labs.
about the second part. So what we do is we work with, language should be acquired, not learnt first thing. And to acquire a language, you need not go through grammar. If you are exposed to day-to-day life situations, one, you will acquire language. We were able to speak in Hindi even before we went to school. ना हमने हिंदी की मात्राएं पढ़ी थी, ना हिंदी का हमने व्याकरण पढ़ा था. आज हिंदी में बात करते हैं, व्याकरण का व नहीं आता है. So language had to be given a different treatment. Secondly, in India, where English is not a foreign language, this is a second language. The difference is, for a foreign language, for Chinese, it is foreign because they don't listen to English. But we, even if we don't speak, we listen to people. So here it becomes a second language. So acquisition of a second language has to be done in a different way. You can't say, aadmi ko man and aurat ko woman. That is not how you acquire language. You get into a situation, and through situations, you get into language skills. That's one. The second thing is, you need to challenge today's children. They don't want to do monotonous things. They want something which excites them, something which is new, and with something which is hands-on. So what we've done is, over the 15 years, we've had 4 major updates, and we've been working on this. How do we make language learning interesting and easy to get it? Something which they don't have to worry about, bother about, and give them a lot of exposure. Our problem is different. See, I tell you, if you look at most of the principal will, second me on that. Our teachers and their teachers had excellent language skills, and today's teachers do not have that kind of language skills. Why? Because they were trained by Anglo-Indians, right? So direct, pure, proper English was there. But because of, it getting filtering down, so the actual language skills are not there. So what we did is, we actually got the best of people to put in their way of delivering, the way of listening. You need to listen proper to speak proper, and anybody who's deaf will always be amused. Not that their tongue doesn't work. When they've not heard something, how do they produce that? So that's what we've tried to do, is make them listen to the right things in the right way, and working on more and more of reading skills. So that's what the entire program is about, how to make language learning interesting, or language acquisition interesting. There should be no pressure. You should love a language, and then you don't have to work on it. So that's the funda behind our language labs.
That's great, sir. That's great, sir. All the best to you. You have done a wonderful job, and you have done a lot of research, as I came to know, and almost all
50,000 man hours.
And sir, I think army schools and KV schools, you are, they are also using your lab, I think. You
Yeah,
told
so
us.
sir, we've been given a mandate by the Indian Army to train all the Jawans who become officers. So Unikrishna sir, in the south, there's a OTA, Officers Training Academy in Chennai. So we've been given charge of the entire OTA, and we are doing the entire training for all the Jawans who become officers before they give the tests. And KV's 1100 Kendriya Vidyalayas, we've been asked to set up labs. We've completed 570. Let's hope to complete the other in post-COVID era. That's it.
That's great. That's great, sir. And frankly speaking, I must tell to everyone, when I came to know about Wordsworth Lab, I thought it might be a lab, or English lab, something like. But when he told me about the details, when I had a word with him on a phone call, and everything he told about the lab and about where he's working, and 3,000 plus schools are already associated with the lab. So there might be something. So I went into the depth, and I came to know that this is the worthness and goodness, because teachers, they do not communicate properly. They do not communicate properly. They speak English, still their English is not correct. Even I am not speaking correct English sometimes, many a times. So when the teacher is not right, how can that teacher communicate the right thing to the student? And they give, if they get something systemized, and they learn it and they pass it to the students along with, So the teaching will become more proper, especially during this pandemic time. And again, we'll have a mixed blend when the students do not only depend upon teacher now. If they're not taking the classes in the morning, so they will go to the YouTube channel and they'll put up their topic, and so many videos will come up, so many teachers, that they won't care about the teachers. And again, we know a big mess will be there when we'll come up to studies and all. Parents will be saying, our children do not study. They're not taking any online classes. They're saying classes to chalti nahi hai. There's no proper class. So that is better because students have become very smart. We even teachers say that we used to respect our teachers. Till now, we respect our teachers so much, but now students they don't respect. So I do tell them, everybody might be saying the same thing. You don't get respect, you have to earn respect. Whatever we were having, that was fear. I was studying in a missionary boys' school, so we were very feared of that one of the teacher, at least, who used to have a thin cane with him. He used to cane us at the back when we were being punished or something we were doing wrong. So that was a fear when we were that was fear, not respect actually. But now the children are very smart. They catch hold of the teacher is teaching properly or not. So the teacher had to be very smart. Thank you so much, sir. Jaswinder sir.
Thank you.
Welcome to you. We'll come up to the next round of the show, and I won't call it as a question round. It is a discussion round. I'll come up to Kajal ma'am. I think Kajal ma'am is already there, and she has not missed. Kajal ma'am, we like to know from you that we say that language learning is developing the ability to communicate. That means language learning is directly connected with communication. What do you feel about that? Kajal ma'am, are you
Yes,
there?
I am there, sir. So, yes, when we talk about language learning, yes, there is a lot of condition associated with it. And for language acquiring, thanks to NEP 2020, it has already, discussed enough in many sessions that how the child acquires the language. So for this, one known language is required. That is why the NEP is talking about that we can teach in mother tongue. One known language which is already there. And there are so many other principles associated when we teach a language. Of course, the language lab will really help. But for us, when we talk about a, in a classroom, and even now we talk about online, how to incorporate language learning. So we must think of repetition, recitation, and listening. So when we bring LSRW, that is listening, speaking, reading, writing, these all factors, affect when we take the language learning in the classrooms. And there are so many beautiful activities associated when we teach a language. It could be a simple fancy dress competition when we do it in the classroom, and we ask our children to explain the character, describe it in your own words, do it. And even when we have a subject talk, and how we learn a language by listening to it again and again, by repeating it. So for me, these principles are very important. First, for picking up the language, and there is no age bar associated with it. So, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Absolutely right. Uh, Lab can be a tool, but the most important part we can say, what you want to say, is the teacher. If the teacher is not proper, again, the same thing which we were talking before, I was telling that the teacher has to be smarter if we want our child to be smarter. So a language lab itself cannot do anything until and unless there's the intervention or cooperation of the teacher. Thank you so much, ma'am. Alka ma'am, will you like to add something to it? And how language learning develops the communication ability?
Thank you, sir. I agree with Kajal ma'am. So I'll just take a different angle where we are talking about communication, relating communication with language right now. I think all of us would agree, like in the words of Max T. Price, there may be no single thing more important than our efforts to achieve meaningful work and fulfilling relationships than to learn and practice the art of communication. Like all of us as social animals, 70% of our communication efforts are misunderstood, misinterpreted, rejected, distorted, or not heard. So out here, when I talk about the power of communication along with language, so I would say the world-class leaders, most of them, they were very effective communicators. As men of letters, we exemplified the speech of Alexander the Great. When he spoke, his resilient army rose up, who actually had said that we are defeated. So that is the power of communication when we are talking about. So we say language, when we say, is not an awareness, just an awareness. It actually makes us aware that we are humans. It is one of the most obvious facilitators, if you look at it, for communication when we are talking about. Language learning does not technically is taught in a manner. Language learning begins at birth and continues throughout our life. Children learn languages by communicating their thoughts, their feelings, their experiences with the parents, with the family members, friends. So that's the importance. Otherwise, when we talk about language skill in our classrooms is a key part of learning. Creating a condition for learning a language is like creating a very comfortable environment where I can learn, like a soundboard to listen when we talk about. So there's 6 principles if we can follow. Know our learners, create conditions for language learning, then is design high quality lessons for language development, which is most critical for us educators. Another thing is adapt lesson delivery as needed. Look at the classroom. What is the need of the classroom? Like all of us, we are from different areas. So accordingly, we deliver. Another thing, monitor and assess the student language development, which is important. And lastly, I would say engage and collaborate within a community of practice. I think this is most important. And you should not implement the 6 principles as a whole. Sorry, I'm saying as different principles. It has to be as a whole, all of them together. So that's what I personally feel when we are talking about language. And communication skills, can be developed and refined by practicing languages. In our school, like when we say that, we give a badge to a language, like a language monitor is there. So it is not just about English or Hindi or, as Sir was talking about, Sanskrit, any of the language. So that's where, and meaningful reading, writing, activities, presentations, class discussions, dramatizations, oral exams, all these are going to make sure that the language is learned in the right manner. And then when we talk about, again, when the power of language and communication, they combine, I'm sure we all know a lot can be achieved. By learning more about language, we inevitably improve our communication skills. And the uniqueness of the human communication lies in the fact that our speech is a reflection of our character and is a mirror of our soul. I'm sure all of us, we agree to this. Thank you so much.
Absolutely right, ma'am. Absolutely right. Everybody will agree with your thoughts. Because thank you so much, ma'am. We'll come to Santosh Vyas, ma'am. Ma'am, as Alka ma'am has also talked about all the principles of language. So we say that the first principle of language learning, as ma'am said, know your learner. So what does you mean when you say know your learner, and how do we, implement it in the classes? How we should do it? Please tell out of your experience, ma'am. Yeah.
I'll take it from the classroom experiences and the school experiences only. When we say know our learner, know your learner, it is very, very important, not only for language learning, for all learning across all the disciplines. Knowing the learners, I think it's one of the very, very important ingredients of our, planning our instructional strategies. When we say know your learner, it means knowing their strengths, knowing their weaknesses. When I say strengths, that means we can work up to the strength. What skills and competencies our children have, each child has. That is why we talk about individualized educational plan and instruction. And it is very, very important that, like, language is something, like language acquisition and language learning is different. But when there is conducive creating conditions or conducive environment for learning, I think that's what we should focus on. And classrooms to be joyful experience. And when it is so, the child enjoys, child know what is the task next in the class. We have to share what we are going to do with the children also. So working up to the strengths of the children, and also working on their challenges, right? Because each child, if you see their family background, their cultural background, all that is very important, So sometimes, children are simply not focusing in the class. There could be any other reason for not learning. The child could be facing some emotional challenges. There could be some social challenges, some peer pressure, something. So what is it that is bothering the child? So we have to work up to the strengths of the children and look into their challenges also, so that accordingly we can plan our instructions. Also, I think when we talk about know your learner, it also means, because each child learns different way, there are different learning styles. So we have to keep that also in mind. So if I'm teaching language, so is it the auditory learning style? The child, some learn through the auditory, they have auditory way of learning, and some have tactile, when they touch the alphabets, or they have hands-on with it, so they can learn better. Okay, learning by doing. And or we can have audio visual style also. Some when they see or listen to somebody, or listen to a popular speech, they pick up the words and they like the characters. So learning is happening from all the all through all these ways. So it's very important that which of our learners, what are the different intelligence types also in the classroom. When we talk about multiple intelligences. So knowing the learner means that also, will my, which child of mine, will really grasp the things when I use the kinesthetic strategy, club a poem with a dance form. So, that kind of, because because a lot of, it's multisensory approach to teaching learning. So, it impacts those areas, and this is how the child can really reciprocate better. So whether it's kinesthetic, visual, or whether it's spatial or natural, so different intelligence types, different learning styles, all these things have to be kept in mind when we say that, knowing your learner. And
So-
also, I would say from my experience, we have that cumulative record, how the child has performed in a particular subject, for instance, language. Was the child right from the beginning? The child, what is the progress? Monitoring or tracking the progress of the child in the language, for instance. Or child, शुरू में भी ये था, अभी है, and now initially he was very good, now the decline is there. So doing that kind of analysis also is very important.
So, ma'am, we can say, we can conclude what you want to say in one sentence is that it should not be a teacher-oriented class. It should be a child-oriented class.
Yes, yes.
This is what we needed because of the 5 fingers. None of the 2 fingers are equal.
And all,
Okay.
yes, and all learning must be related to real life. So integration of proper lesson plans, as earlier Ram said, and integration of life skills,
ma'am.
values, real life experiences, all that is very important to child.
And at the very same time, the teaching method cannot be different for all the students. And therefore, their method should be like a very flexible system where every child may be able to understand
Yes. Planning
what
the lesson
you are trying
that only
learning
pedagogy, so that there's something for each child.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. It can be in any way or all the ways also. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. We'll come up to Unikrishnan, sir. Sir, please put up some of your knowledge on knowing your learner.
Thank you, sir, for posing this question to me. This is a very relevant question. One speaker has already expressed some of our views on this. And as I've already said, I've been a language teacher for the past 25 years, and I'll be able to address this issue with a little bit of experience, if not on any authority. Like any other subject teaching, in the language teaching also, the individualist aspect come into play, because there are certain individual factors that affect effective teaching learning process of language, and I would like to share some of those aspects which I consider important. The first thing is the age. as educators, as teachers, as principals, we have seen that the children in the lower classes express themselves more enthusiastically, more freely, without any apprehension. But it doesn't happen when they grow up, when they come to the higher classes, because in the lower classes, children do not worry about the mistakes they commit, the ridicule that they might face from the others. They may have a very limited vocabulary, but with that vocabulary, they'll be able to speak about anything under the sun. So age becomes an important factor in the process of language learning, especially after 18 years. It's considered that the the the, the pace at which you learn language diminishes after 18. So, as one of the speakers earlier said, the language learning becomes more effective in schools than colleges and universities. The second aspect that I consider important is the aptitude. The children have different aptitudes in learning other subjects. In the language also, the cognitive ability of a child becomes important. There are some children who learn language very fast, but it doesn't happen with some other children. When I was recruited into the Air Force and went to North India, my first posting was at Allahabad in UP. I didn't know to speak a single word in Hindi, but in 2 years, I was able to speak Hindi very fluently. Some of my friends used to say, "Aap to bahut shudh Hindi bolte ho." But there are so many other things that I couldn't learn, which my friends have learned very soon, very fast. So this becomes an important thing I consider. I think because the cognitive, the aptitude of a child also becomes an important factor in the language learning. Then the emotional state of a child, anxiety. This also grows with the age. In the lower classes, when a child is 5 or 6 or 7 years old, he doesn't bother about the mistakes that he commit or what the other people speak about, the errors that he commit while interacting with the people. And that makes his learning more easier and smoother. But when he grows up, the anxiety factor also increases, and his readiness, his willingness to express himself comes down. Then personality factors. Introverts and extroverts children are there in our schools. We know that. Extrovert children are found to be learning language faster than the introvert children. So the personality factor, I'm just rushing through the points because there are other speakers also to share their views. Then social factors. Social factors in the sense, because in my school, there are both Sanskrit and Arabic languages are there. I haven't seen a single Muslim student so far who was willing to take up Sanskrit so far. Though I repeatedly tell them that Sanskrit is a national language, a traditional language. India has, our country has a lot of attachment with this language. Nobody listens. And the same is the case with the Arabic. Arabic is an international language, but I have not seen any Hindu child taking up Arabic as one of the optional languages. This is not because of the fault of the children. This is because of the societal attitude. Because Sanskrit is considered to be a Hindu language and Arabic a Muslim language. So the family wouldn't allow a child of a Muslim family to take over Sanskrit and vice versa. So the social factors also become important. Then the motivation. How much a teacher or his peer or his family, parents, society can motivate him to learn a language will make a lot of difference. These are some of the important aspects that I have seen in my long years of language learning, which affect the children to learn language sooner or later. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable, experience. You're absolutely right. This happens because of the society or because of the parents You take that language only which is concerned to you. It is national or international language. Sanskrit, Dishwanda sir, it's an international language, I suppose, which you told us earlier also in the sessions.
No.
That it,
Sanskrit is not international. It is one of the oldest languages.
but
And
it is
now,
being used
yeah,
in many countries.
now because of the way Sanskrit is a logical language. See, understand one thing. I was talking about Germany. In Germany, if you take up IT or computing or data sciences, you have to learn Sanskrit. Not that the teaching is in Sanskrit. When you learn how or acquire Sanskrit, you understand what logic is, because Sanskrit is one of the most logical languages. Scientific language. One simple thing is that, you see, if there's a word, the way the spellings of that word are arranged, that too has a logic. Right? So that is why internationally, people who want to do more research, who want to get into more of computing skills, there they are taking up Sanskrit. So Sanskrit has been taken up as a computing language, not as a international. So that was my point. Say that's why, and that is why India, it is not that because ये हमारी शास्त्रों की language है, because a lot can be achieved, because India, a lot of our foreign exchange comes through IT, and if we work on this, the future is IT, and we need to get it. So that was the reason why they are making it that Sanskrit should be a part of the third language, the cultural language. That was the point.
That is, sir, Sanskrit is being used in many other countries also.
Yes,
like,
it is. Yes, it is.
As a tool, even as a tool for IT, so it might be used. So it is not, what I wanted to say was, it is not confined to India only or Hindu language only. It is confined to technical language, in fact, as you told us earlier also. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Nikrishnan sir, for your valuable thoughts. We'll come up to Thapar sir. Thapar sir, we have seen, and we were discussing before the session also, that how we have started up with all this, shows and blogs and vlogs. So we say that language learning also has become more comfortable with the use of technology. Language learning was going since its inception when the human being started, but now it has become more comfortable with the use of the tools which you are getting in the market now, with the help of technology.
Not only now, sir, but I would say, if I go back to my school days, as I told you that I've come up in a very remote place, and the teachers in our school, except for our principal, who was from Osmania, rest of them were from the high schools. So we were not able to get the right English from the teachers, with all due respect to them. They were basically from Korea medium, and they were taken into the school for teaching us various subjects. But our principal, Anup Ambrose sir, and couple of few more teachers were very good in English. So we tried to focus on them. When we thought of learning the language, we thought, let us listen to their English. And that wasn't enough. So what further we did was, we tried to listen to BBC. We had transistors in those days. So we used to switch on to BBC whenever we could. Even while studying, we used to hear BBC News in English. And if we wanted to hear songs, we used to put on Australian Broadcasting Corporation or American ones. American we didn't prefer because their pronunciation used to be very difficult to follow. Australian was very good, and BBC was excellent. So that was the kind of exposure that we got, which helped us to listen to the correct English from the right source. So I would say technology we used those days also, and nowadays things have become better and better. Children have the opportunity of, those days very few of us had the facility of having a tape recorder at home, where we could record our voice, our speeches, and then listen to them. But nowadays, with mobiles in everyone's hand, with the voice recorder that is there of very high quality, I always tell my students, those who are interested to develop their language, that it's always better to record your voice and then listen to it. When we listen back to our speeches, we come to know where we have done this, because when we are speaking, probably we believe that we are speaking very nicely, but the listeners may not be able to get to our words. Only when we listen back to our speech, we may become better next time. So children have the opportunity of using these devices. They can listen to podcasts. They can listen to, they can watch on TV. When I was in Korba, I used to recommend my students to listen to BBC, and at the same time, I used to recommend National Geography channels, that if you are able to get that, watch it. It'll be like you can learn so many things other than language also, and language will be part of it. But then later on, what happened was National Geography channel, they started dubbing it in Hindi. So I was not able to recommend that. But now with more and more channels coming in, the opportunity is there for the students, whether they want to listen to Hindi or English, it's possible. So these are all the technologies that can help. And Jaswinder sir is having such a wonderful lab to support this movement of learning the language. So he's even dealing with Sanskrit. And I would just like to add something more to what Unikrishnan sir said towards the end of his speech, where the difference has been, kind of a prejudiced feeling is prevailing, that the Hindus will not learn Arabic and the Muslims will not learn Sanskrit. It's a kind of a thing which has to change. I was going through the videos of Harpal Singh Pannu. Unfortunately, he speaks only in Punjabi. Those of you who are able to follow, I would recommend his videos if you are able to follow Punjabi. He has been a professor in Punjab, and when he speaks, like he's a Persian scholar, and the things that are there in Persian language, I really feel that if another opportunity comes my way, I would love to learn that language so that we can come to know about the rich literature that it holds. So that way, I think languages have no borders. We have grown with the stories of Dostoevsky and Leo Tolstoy. They come from Russian villages, and when we read the stories, we feel that it is happening right next door, or to the villages in which we have lived. The emotions, everything comes in a similar way as we have grown up. So language plays a great role in development. And I think since the language is based on skill base, if we see the natural process of learning the language, a child first he develops his, he's able to hear the language. He hears it, and then he speaks, and then it comes to reading, and towards the end, writing. So that way, as a language teacher, it should be our duty to expose the students to all these 4 skills. A good teacher, I say, is the one who can integrate all these 4 skills in a lesson plan of 40 minutes in the class, where he can expose the children to speak, to listen, to speak, to read, and towards the end, if possible, to write also. So I think.
So can I say something?
Yes, ma'am.
Gave example of Tolstoy. Just self-motivation also plays very important part in language learning.
Yes, ma'am.
Very important factor in language learning. So,
ma'am, if the learning is not interesting, none of the child will, adopt it. If you make it very interesting and engaging, when it is interesting, it is engaging, the child will, love study from you. Any subject, it may be Sanskrit even, in Hindi even. The students run away from Hindi and Sanskrit also. They will learn, they will wait for the teacher to come into the class. When she'll come, when I'll go tomorrow to the school and that teacher's period will come. They have to make it very interesting. Nothing can help it out. Only, the interest has to be created among the children, and that is by the teacher. They have to make the color, you have to make the class colorful. Don't they're going straight away in the classes, taking out, folding their books, getting the reading done, explaining them, question answer done. Okay, do your work in the notebook and bring it tomorrow. That's it. So that is not great. Even I had been, I'm an accountancy teacher. Accounts is also, it is interesting, but it is sometimes the phobia also for many of the students, because it is a new subject in grade 11. So To make it very interesting, sometimes I used to teach them, give them live examples, and crack a joke in between. So they start laughing. Oh, okay, we have talked about this now. Okay, let's come back to the question. We'll come up to this situation again. हम फिर से बात करेंगे. We'll talk again about this. So they, okay, let's understand what sir is teaching. So even after 20 years of my teaching or 25 years of teaching, when my students meet me, their children have grown up, they pay respect. The only thing is that you have to, every time, it was the older time or the new time, I mean, this time, you have to make your class interesting, and otherwise, that if the child is not enjoying, even now also because of pandemic, 2 years, they haven't touched their books. They are all, have become addicted to their devices. It may be a tablet, it may be a laptop or a mobile. They don't want to pick up their books. Even after the opening of the schools, even when the mixed blend will go on, most of them will be using their devices only. So the learning had been there, as Thapar sir said. I agree with you, Thapar sir. Learning had been there. There had been devices that time also, but there were different devices which had to be come into the mind. It came into the mind of Sukhwan Singh Thapar to listen to BBC or the Australian channel, whatever it is, but it wasn't going into the other's mind also. Now the children, they want everything ready-made served in the platter. They don't want to go into the Google and search over there. They can go to the YouTube channel and search everything. They can get everything. But there also, they have to find it out, the things what they need. They do not have so much patience. They want a direct, direct formula that this is what we are going to adopt. And from here, straight away, we are going to learning what to learn and not searching. So tools like Sir has, Jaswinda Sir has, like Wordsworth Lab or whatever it is, these are helpful to the children in the way that systematically they are keep on learning through it, through the teachers also. And basically, we have to, pull on the teachers also with that, you would say in Hindi chabi, that you have to tell them again and again after some time, you have to give them training that you have to do this. So that becomes a system also, that, in the system also, that the teacher also learns that, and through the teacher, the children also learn that, and becomes, because we say that right learning at right time. Thank you so much, sir.
Chandhok sir, just if you allow me, I would like to just share an experience of mine way back in Korba when I started my career as a teacher. And like when I was in the class, I felt that when I used to ask my children after the period used to get over, before I used to leave, a general question which we ask the students is, whose period is there, the next one? And from there I could collect, when the response that the children used to give, I could make out the next teacher, whether the teacher was liked by these children or not, from their expressions. Like they would say, I don't want to take the name of the teachers because they were all my friends. But I can say that for the teacher they liked, they used to be very eager. Sir, unka period. Sir, this sir is going to come. This ma'am is going to come. Otherwise, they used to say, sir, wo wali ma'am aayenge. And that went into my heart. That went into my heart, sir. And it used to be a kind of a nightmare for me to imagine another teacher asking the same question before my period. And if the teacher, if the children would be saying, Thapar sir ka period hai, ma'am, boring. That would be a kind of a nightmare for me. And then, in order to work out that that should not happen, I had to work harder outside the classroom before I entered the class. That no, I should take something to the students. They should look forward to my periods. So with that thought, I started working, and with God's grace, I think children have loved me in their classes.
Sir, I will also share an experience. One of the parent I was talking about, and he told me that when his son was in grade 4, and he was a topper, and his parents told him during before the final examination that you just don't go tomorrow to the school because revision is going on. You stay back home and you learn. So he said, I'll look into my timetable and then I'll tell you that I'll take a leave tomorrow or not. So when it came to the timetable of maths period, he said to his father that, Papa, you won't be able to teach me maths like my ma'am teaches, the stepwise. That was a very good thing. Next was Hindi period. Then he was asked, what about Hindi period? Oh, leave it, Papa. leave it, Papa. We play with her. हम इनसे खेलते हैं. A grade 4 student saying हम उनसे खेलते हैं and play with that. So that sounds like the same thing, Thapar sir, you said. the teacher is not teaching, it's shouting in the class, doing shouting and everything she's doing, but she's not able to give it to the children. That is why. And that student has come in grade 8 now, and he's my son. He told me that, Papa, you cannot teach maths like that. He failed me as a principal that you cannot teach the way maths. The maths teacher got 100%, and he said that we play with her, Papa, don't worry about Hindi teacher. वो कुछ नहीं पढ़ाती, कुछ नहीं समझ में आता उनका. We don't, get her. So this is very interesting. That is the reason why the children don't respect it to many teachers.
Sir,
this is the reason.
As a language teacher of public schools, it's more challenging for us to make our classes interesting, because children generally are good in their language part. And this is what I used to tell my +2 students in Korba also, that see, you don't need Thapar sir to pass in English. Passing in English is easy, but to score well in English, you will need Thapar sir.
Excellent. Yes.
Sir,
So-
even English is interesting when you go for the literature part, but the accounts is not so interesting. You cannot entertain them. But you have to.
Passing in English is easy, but scoring is difficult.
It is difficult, right?
In
sir?
maths and chemistry and physics, passing is difficult, but scoring is easy.
Easy. That's great, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I'll come on to Jaswinder, sir. It's a long, good topic for discussion. Jaswinder, sir, as you have heard from all the eminent speakers, that it's all about technology as well as language learning. So please tell us something in depth about your language lab, that how this system goes on from you to the teachers and from teachers to the students, and make the system very systematic and soft.
Yeah, I'll do that. But before that, I would like to touch upon the last point. Very interesting point. I wanted to have my inputs. I didn't want to barge in. See, what I always tell, we've trained more than 20,000 teachers till date. I say that the students will do well in those subjects whose teachers they love. Right? You love a teacher and you do well in that subject. Even if you're not interested in that subject, that teacher is the one who makes it, think one. So what I tell teachers, then when you're teaching a child, become a child. They love it. When you're teaching a teenager, teach using role plays. When you're teaching a grown-up, teach using case studies. See, you need to adapt to the way that particular, age group, relates to, right? If I see, we've developed a program for young learners. So you know that for languages, there's a framework which is known as CEFR, Common European Framework of Reference. And there are 6 levels, A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2. So you go right from A1 to C2. But recently, they've added another one, pre-A1, right? Which is the foundation. So when we developed the program, we developed it in such a way that students start liking it, and we make the teachers dance. There are teachers who ask me, Jaswinder, अब तुम dance भी करोगे? मैं कहूँ, मैम, ये क्लास के बच्चे, पहली क्लास के, second class के बच्चों को, if you want to expose them to the right kind of language skills, you want them to be a part of that, you'll have to sing and dance with them. Like ma'am said that, it is through repetition. Yes, ma'am. It is through imitation and repetition. Language, any language, you need to listen proper and repeat it a number of times. And for a child, what more than dancing and making him sing along? So that is one thing that we've been talking about. And that's the concept that we've been talking about all throughout our lab. So what we've done is, first, before me, Alka ma'am also did talk about it. Technology, yes, like teacher plays a very important role. So please understand, you cannot expect that a student goes to a lab, listens to something, records something, and feels good about it and acquires language skills. No. Language learning is a blend. It's a blend 2 ways. One with the teacher, that is an instructor-led teaching, and a computer-based practice. You blend both of them. So first, the teacher has to take them through. Remember, we're talking about the skill part. We're not talking about literature part. Whether you can read through a literature, you need somebody to take them through. This is a skill, and you need a guru to take them through. So that's what we say. You blend it with the delivery of a teacher, where they expose them to it and then make students do role plays. A lot of language is acquired through role plays. When you give them those situations, right, then you give them a platform where they open up. It is not that a child is not good. Most of the time, the child is not confident enough. So when you are talking about anxiety, yes, anxiety stops them from coming out and speaking. They may have excellent skills, but they're all, buried down there because of anxiety. So what you need to do is give a platform. So what we do with the language lab is two things. It is blend between teacher teaching and students practicing. So when the teacher is teaching, the child acquires. And say if he has anxiety, if he has got something that he's scared or afraid of, when they go to the lab or when they go home, they sit in front of a computer and then they practice. And that what you do is like another one of the participants said, that when you record something and when you listen to that again, right, that's where you realize how good you are or where you need to work, and you're not depending on a third person to tell you this is where you are, and that ego factor or that scare part doesn't come. So that's what we talk about. Is language labs are nothing but they're extension of teachers. You have one teacher is to 40 students. The language lab gives you one teacher is to one teacher, because the computers, the technology, the software actually works as a teacher. That is what we are looking at. So that is something that we talk when we talk about this. That's the first blend. The second blend is you blend between teaching at school and practicing at home. See, understand, it is not the pandemic alone. You have so many subjects, so many different things to be done, and that same fixed 6 hours in the school. And when you're talking about language, when you're talking about skill, you need to give them more and more time to practice, and not each child acquires at the same pace. So you need to give them their own space, their own pace. Okay, I want to say learn how to acquire something, or I want to practice, but I want to do that at 8 evening. You can't say no, Jaswinder, दोपहर के 2 बजे का session है, do it now. Because I am now in a world where everything can be with me the day I want. It is, on demand. So why not on-demand learning? So what happens is the delivery happens in the school, but the practice happens when the child has to do. But the software ensures that they do it, and then the reports go back. So how does this help? Now, if a teacher is there in a class, you have a class of 35 students, you have a class of 40 minutes, you got 1 minute for one student. How much can you work with them? How much can you go and check what they've done? So what technology does is gives you everything in such a form that you can know everything in 1 minute. You explain something, I tell you, you take a child from point A to point B, you've taken it, you've taught. Then what you do is you give them practice, which is around point A to point B. So which is, to clear the concepts. So if a child has not understood something the way he should have understood, those questions actually make them do that. And secondly, you get a report which tells you whether the kids have understood, who's not understood, what has been understood properly by the entire class or not. So technology here again comes to the, it supports the teacher to deliver that. So it is not that a language lab will teach them everything. It will first allow a not so good teacher to teach better, a good teacher to teach even beyond that, and any kind of student to come at par with everybody. Because what you need to do is get everybody to a benchmark standard. So I may have to practice half an hour, but you may have to practice only 10 minutes. That's okay. That's the thing.
So, sir, we can say it like this: when 30 students or 40 students classes over there, our teacher is teaching a very good thing through the lab or whatever it is. The child would have understood 100% or 70% or 60%. The rest, which he has haven't understood, anytime he can go home and he can, he cannot talk to the teacher again and again, ask teacher again and again.
No, even if you can do that, these questions, which are known as concept clearing questions, are designed in such a way that even if they have not understood, it moves them with them. I'll give you a simple example. आप अपने पियोन को बोलते हो जाके बैंक में से 2000 रुपए निकाल ला, right? Now you then ask him, अच्छा तू कैसे जाएगा? अच्छा वहां जाके किसको मिलेगा? वहां जाके क्या मांगेगा? निकलते हुए क्या चेक करेगा? So you are making sure that he's going to do what he is. So these concept clearing questions take you from point A to point B, that whatever that you have taught him, they practice to know the process, to know the exact thing. So that is what technology helps in. So it gives you, it gives you anytime learning, anywhere learning, any language learning. Second, it allows you to practice by yourself. It takes away that shyness. Okay. There's something that it helps you do self-correction. You see, you can move your tongue, your teacher cannot. You should know through spectral visual graphs that what you are trying to speak or pronounce, is it proper or not? Third, I want to talk about articulation, the right kind of sound to be produced. अब teacher के मुंह के अंदर तो नहीं देख पाते आप, right? So it actually gives you a animated content, things like that. So these are the things which actually work. And there's one concept known as listen, record, compare. right? So that allows a child to work on it. So language labs are, should I? Yeah. So language labs are actually done in such a way that they help a teacher deliver in the proper way. Second, deliver in an easy and more interesting way. Allows the student to practice whenever they want and whatever the teacher wants to practice, and gives back the teacher the entire feedback of the learning. One more important thing, ma'am, teachers, principals, we've all seen that today's kids are not reading as much as they should be reading, right? Alka ma'am, Unikishna ma'am, Kajal ma'am, other ma'am, right? Now,
Agree.
what do you do?
Yes, sir, you are right.
You send them books, the books go home, they come back, you don't know whether the child has read it or the mother has read it. So what we worked on it is that we've been looking at it. It is not, students, even teachers are not reading as well. And that's why the language skills, the vocabulary is not good enough. So we've introduced a digital library. The child opens up a book, the teacher pushes the book comes to the child, they first listen to it. So when you listen something proper, that works it. So imitation, then we ask them to read it, and when they're reading, it automatically gets recorded, and that recorded part comes to the teacher without anything. Thus the child clicks and the entire recording comes. The teacher, if she wants, she can listen and give back a voice note that this is okay. Like there was a child, sir, I'm talking about Thapar sir, in MP, there's a Bina karke gaon hai, town hai. So I was doing some research in that city. There's a school which is tier 3 level thing. So वहां पे बच्चे वो stop को stopped, stopped को stopped बोल रहे थे, zoo को zoo बोल रहे थे. Now how do you tell a child it is not zoo? So what we done is we gave them a audio recording thing when the teacher can give them back that beta, it is not zoo, it is zoo. So this is what technology, it does nothing beyond what a teacher can do, but it only empowers a teacher to do 100 times more. That's what a language lab does, and that's what technology does. And that's what I think, when today's time, when we say that a child can acquire up to 5 languages by the age of 8, you can give them access to those many languages and let a child get it onto that.
That's great, sir. We can sum up like this: every child will become at the same level. At the same level in the class. It will not be like that there will be 2, 3 or 4 toppers in the class, because every child will be able to acquire their knowledge, whatever is left in the school, at their home through their devices also. And when the next year they will come up to the same level, and every child will be of the same level. So surely we'll get a good result.
Yeah, that is what is expected out of these systems.
And parents will also be happy. And we'll see the children growing. Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much, sir. We are in very shortage of time in the last round, and 1 minute answer, 60-second answer I'll be needing. Kajal ma'am, I'll come up to you again. Kajal ma'am, there's another principle of language.
Yes, I am there.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Another principle of language learning is to create condition for language learning. When we say that to create a condition for language learning, what do we mean by that? In 60 seconds, ma'am.
Okay. In this, sir, I will just give you one example that if we want to know the culture of the school, we can get it when we are on the playground. So when we create a condition, you have to speak only in English. So when we play, when we eat, we speak our language. So through that, we can actually get the proof that which is the mode of communication in a school is used. So that way, we must create a condition of speaking only in English, and that reflects. Culture speaks volume.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Nice to see you, ma'am.
Yes.
We'll come up to Alka ma'am now. Ma'am, please, you also tell us your views on how to create a condition of language learning.
Right, sir. Very briefly, I would say that language, it is said that it grows as we grow, as we keep growing, it grows. So it is important to create an environment, I would say, for effective language learning. It's as judicious and correct usage of language can make a communication meaningful and effective. It is not just speaking, it is the right usage of language. So the environment plays a very important role. I would say what Jaswinder sir was talking about, a language lab is also one set of environment. And I would say to ensure the correct usage of language, where it like audio, video tools are there, and best is when we talk about the language lab. And we should stress on them. And annotation, otherwise, there is every possibility that a message gets misinterpreted. So that is where we say polishing LSRW, what we were talking about, I think can promote a conducive learning environment. Thank you so much.
Absolutely right, ma'am. You're absolutely right. Santosh, ma'am, we'll like to know from you that already we told that I think Jaswinder sir was saying that children that take their books to their home library books and they come back again with without opening. So when we say about language learning, we say monitoring and assessing of student language development is also necessary for the process of language learning. So how can we monitor and assess the students?
Very important, sir. It's regular monitoring and tracking of us is to be done of learning what has been learned by the child. And for that, like in any other subject, continuous, I think, assessment of learning has to be there. Small portions to be covered, and that, like it can be assessed nowadays there are multiple tools to assess the learning also. So I think continuous assessment is very important, and at the same time, rather than focusing on the mistakes, let us see to it that we model correct English, if it is English or any other language, modeling the correct pronunciation, diction, intonation, etc. That's more important than focusing on the mistake. As Jaswant sir already has said that, like it creates unnecessary anxiety. And it may inhibit the desire of a child's desire to learn, because child feels shy, adds to anxiety. And as we know that language is something, it is acquisition of language. So we are talking about communicative English, communicative Sanskrit. So for that reason, I think continuous assessment and modeling the correct language, XYZ, whatever is there, that is very important. And let children allow children to do the mistakes, and let us see how we can give the repeatedly telling them, helping them with the various tools available with the help of the technology, like sir said, making digital library, and these are some of the tools. And LSRW, of course, we keep that principle in mind, starting from listening, repeated listening, and going on to speaking, reading, and then writing. So in that order, and variety of activities can be organized for that, like a talk show, radio show. All these are very important to encourage the communication skills or language skills.
Absolutely right, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Unikrishnan sir, please, your valuable suggestions for this.
Sir, I too, like ma'am, consider that assessment and monitoring are very important in the process of language learning too. We'll have to do both summative and formative assessments to ensure that that learning is effective. And the monitoring and assessment are important because of certain reasons. One is to place the students. We must understand that in terms of language skill, where does a child stand? So accordingly, we can impart or change our style in the process of teaching. And the second point is to determine whether the learning goals have been met. For that also the assessment and monitoring are required. And the third point that I would like to share with you is that whether a child needs any additional help in the process of learning the language. And for that, these two factors become very important. And the last point that I would like to share is to determine whether our teaching methods are effective or not. It's not always effective because we'll have to sometimes change the style and the way of presenting things. So this also becomes easier for a teacher through assessment and monitoring. Thank you, sir.
That's great, sir. That's great. Thank you so much, sir. Thapar sir, we'll come up to you now. We know that effective technology-based language learning enhances two-way learning, that is among the teacher as well as the student.
Yes, sir, it does. As far as like we have spoken so much, and we heard Jaswinder sir elaborating on the effects of the labs that we can establish in the schools, because it's very helpful as far as developing all the skills are concerned, especially the kind of listening and spoken skills, which we cannot provide in a normal setup of a class. Opportunity to nowadays we have more than 40-45 children in each class, and it's not possible for all the students to get the opportunity of speaking unless and until the teacher is too creative. For example, we can ask the children to share with each other how did they spend their Sunday. So that way, immediately we are providing opportunity to the students to speak for about 2-3 minutes. So everyone gets the opportunity, and the teacher keeps hovering around to ensure that the students are speaking. And later on, we can ask the after they have heard their friends, we can ask, how did your friends spend the Sunday? And he gets the opportunity of speaking, but then we can provide only to 4 or 5 of them to speak. But if we use technology, it will help them to go back to it again and again. So I think these tools will be very helpful.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Jaswinder sir, I'll come up to you now. As you have heard the full session about your language learning and everything, please tell us how many languages you have involved in your lab and how many more languages are going to come.
Can I answer one other question before that? I wanted to say on to what others have said, and I'll come to this part. See, when
Sure.
we talk about language, we know that without usage, it is not going to be something that they can acquire. And when you have a teacher, 1:40 or 1:50 students, a teacher cannot talk to everybody, right? So if you look at a child, in the entire day, a child does not use more than 10 sentences to communicate with all the teachers. अब पूरे दिन में अगर 10 sentences if useful to communicate in English, that's not going to be enough. So what we're training is that we were asking that if students amongst themselves communicate with each other in English, they will be using more than 200 sentences a day because बच्चे बातें बहुत करते हैं. So what we've done is just tell you that we've actually encouraged things like this. Okay, this is certificate of appreciation. If you find a child outside the class communicating with the other child in English, फट करके ये 50 पैसे का बनता है, आप ये उसको दे दीजिए. And end of the week during the assembly, call those people up to the stage and tell everybody these are the students who have been regularly found to communicate in English, and you ask them to clap. Now this has two effects. These kids who got these are in trouble. They are identified as those who have been rewarded for speaking in English. They have to keep communicating in English, right? So that is taken care of. And the others who are down there would want to always come to this stage and get stuck into this. So this is one thing that a lot of people have used it. In fact, there are so many schools who send us pictures. This actually motivates usage of language outside the classroom without technology also. Technology plays a part, but there's something which is the mindset. That's what we work on. So that is another. And now I forgot what question you would ask me. Please ask me again. I'm sorry.
Sir, languages, which language apart from English?
So we started with English. We went on to Sanskrit. We also have a Hindi grammar lab. And we are coming up with the French language lab by end of April. And then we are going to get into Gujarati, Tamil, Bengali, Punjabi, and Telugu. So these are the languages that we are going to come in, because NEP 2020 has got the 3 language formula where they are rightly saying that the early years, the foundation years, subjects like math and science should be taught in their mother tongue or local language. One, the teachers will do a good job. Second, the kids will understand. Once their foundation is clear, they can, get into the other languages. But that does not mean they have English starting at 5th standard. No. You have 3 languages starting right from class 1. Let them have, suppose we're talking about the northern part, Hindi bhi ho jaye, English bhi ho jaye, Sanskrit bhi ho jaye. You go to south, so if it's Kerala, so we'll have Malayalam, we'll have English, we'll have Sanskrit, and similarly, आपके यहाँ पर sir, Uriya bhi ho sakti hai, Bengali bhi ho sakti hai. So that's what we are talking about, because kids can actually, and that's what our mandate is. In the coming 5 years, we should have all Indian languages given, because if a person from North India goes to Tamil Nadu, God save the child if they're going to teach them in Tamil and the guy doesn't even know how to speak properly in English. So that's what we're talking. So our mandate as a company is to cover up almost all the, mandate is to cover up all the languages that are there. But currently we are there with 3 languages. The 4th will be in the month of April. So we're going to give that to all these schools that are our customers to get onto the French also. So that's the thing here.
That's great, sir. All the best to you. And you're doing a wonderful job. Before winding up the session, Thapar sir, I'll come back to you. Any 2 lines you can, sing for us. And if you can sing it in Ori language, Orissa language,
Okay.
or Bengali,
Oh my God.
it will be the first time I'll be hearing from a Sardi any other regional language. And this will go, worldwide to the people that you are super talent. We know, but still, sir.
That's a difficult question you have put across.
No, sir. Everybody will be see we give a break to the students. This is the 5 minutes last 5 minutes break where everybody will be reciting something, 2 lines,
Oh,
a singing or a poem or something whatever they want.
Okay.
And Jaswinder sir, you cannot run away, please.
no, I was just having a glass of water. Sorry.
Sure, sir. Uni Krishnan sir has to also in Malayalam he has to sing something. He has to come back. By the
Okay.
times Thapar sir will recite 2 lines for us.
I will not recite as you said, but I will just try to put across in very few words what we did today in Odia.
Okay.
Aji am sabu eti bosikori Chandok sir amunko eti anichanti platform re language ro principles of language and technology ku discuss kariyaku. Au bahut bhalo lagila samasto koro ame sunilu. एठिरे जसविंदर सर जे वर्ड्सवर्थ रो लैब अहमदाबाद रे रन करूचंती सेटा बहुत पिला मनकु मदद करिवो नुवा भाषा सिखिबाकू सो आपण पिला मनकु ये करंतु प्रोत्साहित करंतु ताकि से नुवा भाषा सिखिबो. What I said is
We got it, sir.
Okay.
I tell you, if you know one language, you get it. I'm sure everybody understood most of it, sir.
Sir, we were,
Only
we
question,
were,
sir.
we were not understanding your language. We were understanding your emotions. So we understood everything.
Thank you.
We understood everything, sir. And
the quote that I would like to share and end with is the Serenity Prayer, wherein it is said that God bless me with the serenity to accept what I cannot change, courage to change what I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
That's great, sir. That's great, sir. Kajal, ma'am, I've come to know that you sing very well from somewhere. 2 lines, ma'am. You're muted. 2 lines, ma'am.
क्या सर क्या बोल रहे हैं कि गाना गाना है?
मैम सुना है बहुत अच्छा गाना गाती है. किसी भी
सबको भगाना है क्या?
नहीं मैम, हम लोग we all are bad singers, so but कोई बात नहीं मैम. 2 lines, ma'am. Everybody will sing.
Oh Lord.
Alka ma'am is saying yes. Alka ma'am is saying yes. Why not?
No, sir.
ये तकलीफ में डालने वाली चीज है. He's having the last laugh, you know.
No. Kajal ma'am, please.
Try humming 2 lines.
Sure, ma'am.
And I've taken like I always consider that as if I have an invisible bag, and I always love to have learnings in it. So learnings are something becomes our treasures. So that treasure bag was there on my back, and I have enough like done for today. So with this, I want to dedicate this song to all the educators who are there with us. Here we go. ये दिल है मेरा या है एक यादों की अलमारी, इस अलमारी में रखी है मैंने अपनी ये दुनिया सारी, एक फटी पुरानी जीन्स और टी शर्ट बीटल वाली, उसकी चाबी में मैंने रख दी है अपनी ये दुनिया सारी. So thank you so much for
That's
having me.
great, ma'am. That's beautiful.
Ma'am, you sing awesome. Nice.
Yeah, that's nice, ma'am. You are your hidden talent you have, ma'am. You are all rounder, Kajal, ma'am.
Oh Lord.
Uni Krishnan sir, something in Malayalam, 2 lines, any song.
I have a new name for Uni Krishnan. It should be Universal Krishnan.
Sir is multi-talented also, sir. All the participants.
Sir, you are on mute. Unikrishan sir, you are on mute, sir. Sir, you are on mute, sir.
Sir, you are
Unikrishan
muted.
sir, yeah.
Okay.
You have to
Yeah.
start again, sir.
Yes, sir. I'll sing for you, and probably for the first time in my life, and also for the last time. Well, I'm sure you will not ask me to sing again. Kadalinakkara ponore, kana ponninu ponore, kadalinakkara ponore, kana ponninu ponore, poi varumbol endu kondu varum kai niraye. This is a song addressed to the fisherman. The fishermen are going into the sea, and the people on the shore asking, what will you bring back when
Wow.
you return?
Wow.
That's great.
It's
sir.
kind of
That's
Irish
great, sir.
Irish poetry.
Yeah. Yes.
Alka ma'am, your turn, ma'am. Ma'am, anything, any poem, any religious song, any poem you can also say, any, anything you want, anything.
I,
See, ma'am, every person has a child in himself. So that child should come out right now for these another 1 or 2 minutes.
Alka ma'am, you are still in school today?
yes, actually I was working and the session started, so I got delayed. So that is how I was there only. My God, actually I never sing.
And you never expected also.
Never expected. No one asked me to sing at all. I'm a Rajasthani, so all what they ask me to do is to do Ghumar, which is easy, so I do that. It's a little convenient for me. I can do that over here.
Please share a video of Goomer. You're doing Goomer.
Something I can easily do. That is something I can easily do. I'm a Rajasthani, so I'll just, I'm not a great Rajasthani. I can't speak that much. Studied in Dehradun throughout. I'll speak only in मैं थाने से न ये सेशन खातर धन्यवाद दूं और मन बहुत यहाँ चोक लाग्यो कि थे से अठे मारे सागा और कतो सीखियो थारो वो मन बेरो है कि आज और थे से अता सीनियर हो तो सीख बा में माने मतलब बहुत यहाँ चोक लाग्यो और मैं यहाँ सोचूं कि आज जठे भी हूँ मैं तो एक तो बाकी ऊपर वालों की कृपा है और थारे जी बड़ा ही बाको आशीर्वाद है और सागे वाला ही आपको साथ है थैंक यू सो मच
ये भी समझ आ गया any language and every language is somewhere interwoven.
मैम अलका मैम कुछ ऐसा लगा कि मुझे बहुत अच्छा सपोर्ट लगा यहाँ के बहुत कुछ मैंने अच्छा सुना लेकिन आखिरी में जाके मैं फंस गई और मुझे लोगों ने पकड़ लिया तो मुझे बोलना पड़ रहा है अभी संतोष मैम where were you ma'am? We were searching for you ma'am. कितनी देर से लोगों को मैंने भेजा हो आपको ढूंढने के लिए. Please ma'am, something from you ma'am.
Yeah, something, sir. I'm not a very good singer. So what I'll share, because we're talking about language, this session is on the language learning principles of language. Just a nice thought from our spiritual guru, Dada J.P. Vaswani. If there's a language which the deaf can hear and the blind can read, it's the language of love and kindness.
Great.
That's great, ma'am. That's great, ma'am. That's great, ma'am. Thank you so much, all of you. You have given your precious time to us. Thank you, Sapinder sir, Alka ma'am, Jaswinder sir, Unikrishnan sir, Kajal ma'am, and Santosh ma'am. Hope to see you again in another session. But get ready, please do not refuse next time because you will be knowing at the end of the session you will have to sing something. So please, instead of refusing, you should get ready with practice with that.
Prepared, sir, next time for
sure.
Sarapreet, by asking this question towards the end, which came as a surprise, you really made us all happy. So
thank you so much, sir.
Let us just recite these lines, and then we can wind up.
Sure, sir.
The time to be happy is now.
Yes.
The time to be happy is now.
The place to be happy is here.
The place to be happy is here.
And the way to make and the way to be happy is to make others happy.
Yes. The way to be happy is to make others happy.
That's
true.
Great,
very
sir.
well
That's
said,
great,
sir.
Sir. Very good, sir. Actually, you see, this is a get together of the principals, and we are not discussing anything. We are just getting together from all the parts of the country, having a good time. You to feel relaxed. at the end of the day. That's it. That's the main purpose of this show. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you,
all of you.
Thank you,
Sarabjit.
everybody.
Thank you,
Thank you, everybody.
everyone, for
Everyone
staying
else.
learning.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
stay in touch.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.